Welcome to the Radiate Wellness Podcast. I'm your host, Christy Clemens Hoffman. Each week we will discuss tools, tips, and ways to radiate your best life ever, interviewing practitioners, authors, and luminaries to help you on your path. Wellness, joy, peace, abundance. What do you want to radiate? Good morning and welcome to the Radiate Wellness Podcast. I am here with Tracie Mahan, who is a clinical hypnotherapist and QHHT practitioner like me. We're kind of in the same business, you could say. Tracie's zooming in from Oregon. I got that right, didn't I, Tracie?
You did. You got it right.
Well, welcome, Tracie.
That was more narrowed down than the Pacific Northwest. So this is good. We're good.
This is good. This is good. Tracie and I met at the QHHT Level 3 class in October in Atlanta. And Tracie, I haven't seen you since, but I see your posts. You look like you're doing great.
Busy. Yeah, lots of things going on. Lots of, there's just so much. My hashtag is the magic is real. And I have to say, there's just so much magic going on. There's just so much energy out there right now. And people are just so ready to wake up and have experiences, and it's been wonderful.
I agree. Well, today we are radiating love, and can you talk about why you chose love?
I chose love because not only am I on that journey like everyone else for self-love, but I love to encourage that in other people. Mm-hmm. Love what you do, love who you are. Love even the little quirky things, the little shadow sides of self. Just when we can fall in love with all of that, then the world around us starts to reflect that. So that's why I chose love, because it's such a powerful tool to create your reality with.
It is, and they say there's really only two emotions, love and fear. And so I'd rather be in love. Absolutely.
Let's be in love.
Let's be in love.
We could be in love together.
So Tracie and I are in love together.
Yeah. We're not going to make that awkward. No.
So Tracie, so I know you do QHHT and you've got the CHT after your name, clinical hypnotherapist. What else do you do?
I do what I call the ascension activation sessions. That's another way to just really get into waking up to how amazing we are as a human being. And so I go into a channel with that one, and I take people on journeys with the channel, and they go to different realms. They meet up with different councils, galactic councils, spiritual councils, angels, masters, all of it. We often get the dragons to come join us for these journeys. So they're very magical in a sense, and there's a lot of information that can come in through those as well. So it's another fun one that I love doing. Yeah. Right in there with my QHHT. Those are like my babies.
I know. So. Somebody asked me the other day, which is my favorite modality. And I said, that's like which is my favorite limb,
Right. Exactly.
I
can't really choose.
Child, but I only have one child. So which is my favorite limb? It's hard to choose. Because I do, I jokingly say readings, Reiki, and regression, right? So channeling, and mediumship, medical intuition, Reiki with guides, Reiki with ancestors, and the QHHT. So how did you find your way to QHHT?
I actually love this story because I didn't know much about Dolores Cannon, and I actually, oddly enough, I had one of her books sitting here on my shelf, and I had read through part of it. And so I kind of had a concept of what she was doing in her office. And one day that randomly happened in one of my sessions. I had this woman go into this higher self. And because I had read Dolores's book, I was kind of recognizing what was happening in there. And so I stumbled my way through that one, and it was amazing. I was asking her, so what can you do? She was in there for fibromyalgia. And so I was asking her, well, what can you do to heal your fibromyalgia? And she's like, oh, and she starts looking around, you know, her eyes are closed. She's looking around pretty soon. She's like, well, this needs to move here and that needs to move there. And she starts doing all these things. And then I said, well, is there anything else that you could fix while you're in there? She's looking around. She's like, oh yeah. And she starts fixing all these other things. And I'm just sitting there with my jaw on the floor and I'm thinking, where did I see, you know, where do I have this memory of this happening in somebody's session? So I finally figured that part out, that it was Dolores Cannon. And so I became a little bit more familiar with her. And then I ended up going to this Body, Mind, Spirit Expo, and I held a booth there. One of my friends, now a dear friend of mine, but at the time we were acquaintances. So it wasn't like we talked every day or had that much communication between us at the time. And she comes up to me and she hands me this card with 3 waves of volunteers. And she goes, you're going to be doing this work. I got that message so strong on my drive in here today to tell you, you have to do this work. And again, and then she had Dolores Cannon at the bottom of that. And I'm like, why does that name sound familiar? Again, whoop. So yep. I was just like, oh, okay. And so, of course, I went home and dove into that, ordered the book. And another friend of mine ordered the book, and she got her book like right away. And I'm sitting there waiting like a kid at Christmas. Where's my book? And so I ended up having an experience with the gal that already had gotten hers, where I was working with her, and all of a sudden I'm seeing her on the ship, and she's watching, there's all these people with her, and she's watching the world go through all of these different cycles. And she said, it feels like only about 3 days have gone by for me, but it looks like the earth went through this complete reform. And then all of a sudden they're bringing the people back and they're replanting them onto the earth. Mm-hmm. And when I get my book, that's in the first story. And I was just like, whoa. And I hadn't got to read the book yet, but she had. So she knew what I was seeing, but I didn't. And so that's why I didn't get my book yet, because I wasn't supposed to know that story yet. So anyways, that was pretty cool. So then I'm working with this gentleman that came in for a reading, and we just got to talking. And he was like, well, I'm interested in doing some hypnosis with you. And then we got to talking about Dolores Cannon and all this, 3 waves of volunteers and all this stuff. And I said, yeah, I really wanted to take that class, but I'm a single mom. So at the time I was working 2 jobs and, you know, one of those borrow from Peter to pay Paul kind of lifestyles for a while there. And so I was like, I would really like to take her class, but I'm not quite sure how that's going to happen. I got to create that yet. He comes back the very next week with this envelope and hands it to me. He says, go take your class. And it had the money in it. Wow. And what an amazing man too, because he gave me cash. And it was like, for him to trust that I was going to go with that cash and do what was intended with it was phenomenal in itself. But absolutely. What an amazing person. I had only met him once, and his heart told him, give her this and get her going. And so that's how I got started. I took my class online, and then I kind of started connecting with Julia through my own, doing my own kind of podcast things and having her on with Soul Speak and different things like that, and finding that we have a really strong soul connection there as well. And so Julia, I love the cattail.
I know. Yeah, I don't usually record at my house, but it's just kind of how things work today. And this is why I don't usually record at home, because
those are the best shows. Right? The best shows with animal interventions.
Yes, and Julia that you mentioned, this is Julia Cannon, Dolores Cannon's daughter, who now has taken over from her mom in leading the classes. Now, you took the online version of the level 1 class. Hello, Annie. Mm-hmm. This is Annie. This is so one cute. Of my cats. Yes, and she's always around when I'm trying to do things here. And so, I can't imagine taking the level 1 class online. I know this is all available because I took it live. It's a week-long class, and you're just like in this immersive type of situation. You're practicing every night. You're just living, breathing QHHT 24/7. So I know the online experience is very different.
It is very different. And I'm glad you brought that up, because if anyone watching this is thinking, I want to be a practitioner, from my experience, if you can, go take it in person. It is a different experience for sure.
And that is my point too, that it's best. I feel it's
the community you build, the hands-on, it's so much better. You get practice in the level 1 where you don't, when you're taking it online, you're not getting to go do a practice thing and then ask all these questions. You can't ask all these questions when you're doing the video, the online course. Although the online course, it is valuable in the sense that, you know, if it's a budget thing for me, it was a budget thing. I was able to do the online course. All the information is there. It's there. And if you had questions, I imagine there's ways to get those answers, you know, through the system. But to have that community in the in-person thing it's phenomenal. Because as you know, I just spent, I went to Mount Shasta with the QHHT level 2, did the, sat in on the level 1 companion class. Then we had our reunion, and then went on to Atlanta for the helping with level 1 and then taking the level 3. So I ended up in a 3-week period of time going through every single class they offer and watching that from start to finish evolve. And I'm so glad I got to have that experience, because I didn't get to have that experience with my level 1 online, to watch that community come together. And you know, there's Facebook groups with those classes in them, and to watch them still interact and share with each other, and the bonds that are going on with that. And that is something you won't get with the online course. You'll get the education, you'll get the support, but the community, the ability to ask your immediate questions in the moment, that kind of stuff, it's valuable.
I still exchange Christmas cards and birthday cards with my roommate from the level 1 class.
That's awesome. Yeah.
You know, being in person. And in the level 2 class, we stay in touch on Facebook and what's the other one? Skype. So we still stay in touch, because you do get sick trial by fire, and you're all, you know, in this QHHT boot camp together and sharing these experiences, having dinner together, having breakfast together, practicing on each other, and it's really amazing. And so just to back up, if anybody listening to this podcast, and I know we have listeners all over the world, does not know about QHHT, this is Quantum Healing Hypnosis Technique by Dolores Cannon, who was from Arkansas here in the US. And it's an amazing modality. Tracie, you said you've had a few healing stories with this, because that's of course in the name QHHT, and this is one of the reasons why people would come for it. So do you have anything that you'd like to share with that?
You know, there's been multiple, one of the reasons people do come in is to experience a healing. They'll have aches and pains and ailments and different things that have come across, and I'm just trying to pull some off of the top of my head. You know, like I spoke about that fibromyalgia. I know that was before I actually had the training, but the outcome of that story is, you know, even though I stumbled my way through the semi-memory of going through this book,
just like Dolores,
her fibromyalgia was gone.
Right.
And like so that was so exciting to me. I was like, oh my gosh, I've got to learn more about, I know I read that somewhere. And this technique will take you into that higher self, that subconscious or superconscious part of the mind that knows the answers and knows why those ailments are there. It comes in, it tells you what you need to know. And then once you know that, you don't need the symptom anymore. You know, hip pain, back pain, let's see, there's been some varicose veins. I mean, things that you don't even think about as being a symptom, and that it is, like ringing in the ears. Just trying to think of a thyroid, IBS.
Yeah.
If you got a symptom, it's probably come across our plates, right? Between the two of us, we've probably dealt with those things. And And, and I do want to say that the healing, when you schedule a QHHT appointment, don't think, oh, miracle worker. You come in and you do the work. Sometimes your subconscious mind gives you an assignment to change a diet, to get out and walk, to do this, do that. You've got to listen to it, or you're not going to get the change that you're desiring, because you are getting instructions from that high self. This is what needs to happen. If you're not listening, then they're not going to honor the change that it's kind of like you make this deal. You go out and exercise, we'll help you with that blood pressure, we'll help you with that weight, that diabetes, whatever. But you got to do these pieces. And so
not free. It's not a free.
It's not free. Yeah. And so I think some people think they're going to come in, they're going to lay down, they're going to get up and walk away. And sometimes that happens, aches and pains, usually that will happen. Something that's more dietary, it requires change. But yeah, I've had people come in with
long to learn, like something that we have created with our thoughts and beliefs. It takes a while to uncreate that, and we need to deal with it and replace those thoughts and beliefs, right? So that can happen.
Exactly.
Yeah, I've seen migraines cured or healed, removed. I've seen ulcerative colitis be resolved, and of course the aches and pains. I did have one client, she came in, her salivary glands were very swollen and she looked like she had mumps, and there was no diagnosis. Her medical team couldn't figure out what was going on. They said, it's not harming you in any way, it's not dangerous, but we can't figure out why. And then after the session, at least one side had gone down, then she kind of looked lopsided, but at least one side went down, and she said that the other side started to go down within a few days. So we can't expect this to happen, because I do believe that all healing is self-healing anyway. All healing is we've got to have a vested stake in this. We can go to a medical doctor and say, heal me, and they're going to say, yes, you need to diet, exercise, you need to take the supplements and any medications, but if we don't follow that, then we're not going to achieve healing as well. So it's not necessarily a miracle.
No, but it can be. So we don't want to take that element out either. We just, the main thing is to come with an open mind, because you're going to go through an experience, and the more open you are to what the higher self is telling you, the more you're going to experience with that. And it can be phenomenal. Relationship healing, things people don't think about. You might come in for a physical healing, like you're having aches and pains, and then it'll turn out that the pain in your neck is just your parent or your child or your spouse, and then you end up with this emotional healing around that relationship. The pain in the neck is gone and your relationship's better. And I mean, those are some of the most fun ones that I've had, where it's like, well, what is that pain in the neck? Oh, that's my husband. He does this, and that. Ah, okay. So what can happen here? And then they start getting a bigger picture, and they start seeing the part they play, and they start seeing a solution evolve, and some healing going deeper in, where did this originate from? Oh, this is from back when I was a child and XYZ happened, and so then all of a sudden you've got this amazing story that evolves, and they just release it like that, and all the pain goes away, and they leave floating. And I love those.
They do.
So those are really powerful sessions too.
Right. And where they go home and they, wasn't even on their list of questions, because of course we can bring a list of questions to ask our higher self. What would you ask your soul if you could? And so it wouldn't even be on their list of questions, but then they report a couple of days later, everybody's getting along better. This is crazy. This is amazing. And those are really wonderful healing, and that's healing as well. And then another reason people come in for QHHT sessions, at least they come to me for QHHT sessions, is because they just want to know what else is possible.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah, let's talk about that. All right. You have some good stories?
What else is possible?
Exactly.
Oh my gosh. People can go to some of the most fantastic things,
right?
In these regressions. You can go to past lives, you can go to future lives, you can go to out of this world lifetime,
you can go to concurrent lifetimes.
Oh my gosh, people get really surprised with that one. And,
yes.
There was times I asked one client, I said, how many lifetimes are you living at this moment, right now in this moment? And they had like 101. It's like, oh my God, that's a lot. But you know, if you think about it, we are this huge, amazing, glorious soul, and we are this little tiny aspect of that soul that is incarnated in this body. So why would we not use the rest of that and incarnate in a lot of bodies and have a lot of experiences all at the same time?
Well, all time is going on at the same time anyway.
Exactly. So all of these experiences. Yeah.
It's
Should we get really convoluted into that? No.
Oh my gosh. Speaking of convoluted, the whole Convoluted Universe series, oh my gosh, the series of books by Dolores Cannon, I think there's 5 in total. If you want to twist your mind, read the Convoluted Universe series. Anything that you can imagine and even what you can't even imagine is actually happening. Mm-hmm. So do you have any really cool, fun stories about that?
Oh my gosh, I go out of this world a lot with both QHHT and the Ascension sessions. I think it's partly because I'm so connected to that ET world, or that extraterrestrial, the other realms, that my sessions kind of tend to go that way. I
know, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I've got to have journeys that go out beyond our galaxy, into looking at multiple galaxies and how they're all part of a chakra system of a bigger system, and how we're just a chakra in this system. And it just was mind blowing. It was like, oh, okay, that kind of makes sense. And then, you know, yeah, so our evolution is not just, you know, it's not just our galaxy pending on the Earth's evolution to move into this new energy, but the whole chakra system needs to evolve into this new energy so that the other system that we are a part of can evolve. And then that keeps going. And it's like, okay, that's too much. Just, you know, and it's like your mind's going,
a little bit at a time.
Yeah. But I mean, we've got to, I've had people go into Palladian lifetimes, inner Earth lifetimes, other planetary lifetimes, all over the place. Lifetimes, this would be, to me, this is intriguing. I had one gal that she went to a life where she was on another planet, and she grew very, very, very old. Like that, on that planet, they could live probably 1,000 years or whatever, just to give you an idea, like very old. Mm-hmm. And that body got worn out, tired. And so she chooses to exit, not the body dies like we have going on here in the Earth realm. She chooses to exit that body and then takes a resting period, comes back, reincarnates, but gets to bring all the memories with her. Oh, there is no forgetting who she was, where she came from, all that. So she comes back into the incarnation as youth, remembering all of the wisdom she gained from that 1,000 years prior. And got to go into the next life with all this information. Yes, and I was just like, what would that look like here? You know, that would be amazing.
Can you probably be put into an institution, quite honestly.
Yeah, there'd be something up with that, right?
Yeah.
But just powerful lifetimes like that.
Hi, this is Christy. I just want to say that we here at Radiate Wellness hope you are enjoying this podcast. It's free to you, and we hope that you find it informative and inspirational. Heck, even fun. We have just 3 small asks of you to help us radiate growth. First, please hit the subscribe button on whatever platform you're listening on. That way, you'll receive a notification every time that we have a new podcast episode out. Next, please give us a thumbs up, a like, or a 5-star review. If you're feeling inspired, a positive review wouldn't hurt. These 2 small things will help others find us when they're searching for great podcasts. Finally, please tell your friends about the Radiate Wellness podcast. Better yet, show them how to find us and how to subscribe. If everyone did that, we would double our audience. Thanks a lot. We really appreciate it.
Here's some of the fun stuff too. You go into a lifetime where you're a healer, where you're on another planet. I personally went into one in my QHHT session where I was an oracle, that I would stand in front of this humongous crystal, And I could look into the crystal and I could remote view, and even, no, I wasn't biolocating, but I could remote view what was going on all over this beautiful village that I lived in. And it was very Mayan-like in my mind. And there was this palace that I was in, but the people looked very Mayan, darker skin, dark hair, pyramids, that kind of stuff. And I could see this wonderful group of people, and they were all working as this beautiful community. And then all of a sudden, I kind of fast forward, because I was a young oracle at that time. And then I think I lived, if I remember right, and the number coming in is 789 years. I bounced forward. And of course, as that evolved, corruption came in. And so some corruption came in. The person, the king or the person in charge, the emperor, was now using the people for his own gain, that kind of thing, and using them more as slave labor kind of stuff. And my heart was breaking for these people that were overworked and overtired and not taken care of the way that it was before, where everybody thrived. And so there was this whole experience with that. But the part that was fun was the gifts were to remote view, to be able to see the future in those aspects of, there were some things that I did see. To go into all of it would be too much, but what we asked for is to bring that back with me, that ability to see and have that, some of those gifts of the oracle, and just have my memory of that lifetime, the abilities to do that, to come back in. And one of the things that I do for people is I can do house clearings, and I can sit here in my chair and close my eyes and tell you the layout of your house. And
I do that too.
Yeah, and do that remote viewing ability to go through the house and even tell you what pieces of furniture, this piece of furniture over here carries an energy that's not from your home. Tell me about that piece of furniture. Oh, yeah, we got that at an estate sale. Oh, yeah, and so those kinds of things happen for people as well when they go into these other lifetimes where they were healers, or they had these abilities, or these the knowledge. Then they ask for that to come back with them, to remember that knowledge and to expand in that way. And I've done journeys with people, not always QHHT. So I do want to make sure that gets put in there, but I've done past life journeys with people where it's just the past life journey. And we've done those kind of journeys. Let's go into a past and bring back something valuable. Let's go into the future and see what we can do with it, different things like that, and taking people on these guided things. QHHT, if that's something of interest to a person, of course we can incorporate. If there's anything valuable, you can bring it back with you.
Because
but yeah, there's so much.
You do clinical hypnosis. Did you do that before QHHT?
Yes, I did that for quite a few years beforehand.
What type of thing did you work with that?
With clinical hypnosis, that one is more of the stop smoking, weight loss, anxiety. Anxiety is what got and I took the hypnosis because I was so intrigued by past lives. I had my own past lives experiences through dreams and through just recall and doing readings and looking at past lives through readings. I was like, I want to take people through this. It's one thing if I could tell them what I'm seeing as their past life, but it's so much more impactful if they see it.
I agree. Exactly.
And so that's what brought me to doing hypnosis. So I took this hypnosis class with the intent to bring people into past life regressions. But with that also came the weight loss, the stop smoking, the anxiety. Well, I started really, as more and more people were coming in for anxiety, I was like, we really need to do a past life regression. Healing fear of flying, fear of heights, fear of water, fear, and the past lives that go with those is just amazing. And lots of stories that we could tell around those kinds of things as well, with past lives being a healing element. And that is where I love that QHHT puts the past life in the session. Context. Because past lives can be so healing to things that you don't even know you need healed. No. And all of a sudden here it comes up in this story, and you'll be like, oh my gosh, yeah, I have that going on with this person over here in my current life. And then all of a sudden, all of that is gone. And it
Absolutely.
literally
Oh,
is. It's like, yeah, it's healed. It's gone. You recognize where it came from. You forgive that, and boom, it's gone. And you'll go and talk to that person again, and all that angst, all of that craziness is gone. The relationship shifts, and it's so amazing.
Yeah, in my session, I was a Jew in medieval Spain, running from the Inquisition for my life. My wife had died. I was alone, been betrayed by a neighbor, outed as a Jew, and just like so many ends of my current lifetime just were resolved.
Yeah.
It's like, okay,
yeah,
that was so traumatic that I carried it with me. And so I found many times that a death in a past life, coupled with strong emotion, very strong fear, betrayal, just whatever the strong emotion is, that will often result in the physical ailments that we carry forward. So that's really helpful to find out what those are and just realize I don't need that anymore. That's done.
Yeah.
Right. I've been carrying
it, and it is, and it's done.
It's done.
That was the one thing when I had my very first past life experience. It was through dream analogy, and I had kept a dream book, and I had a couple of gals that we would do dream analogy. And when we went through the series of dreams that I had over the week, we'd meet once a week and just kind of talk it out. And so, how did your week go? What kind of things were happening? And I shared these dreams, and all of a sudden the gal across from me says, "Oh my gosh, that's a past life." And she put the whole thing together. And as soon as she did, I just got chills that went all the way up my body and out the crown of my head. And everything that I was holding anxiety for in this relationship triangle thing that was going on left. And I totally understood the triangle. I totally understood what was being worked out there karmically. And I let go, and everything shifted after that. And it was amazing. And I thought, oh my gosh, I got to do more of this with people. Other people need to know about this. And it was such a profound experience for me. And I think I was about 20 years old when that happened. And it was so profound that it was the thing that shot me forward, going on this mission of, I got to learn how to do that with people. And so the first way I learned to do it was through past life readings. And even with that, all people would have to do is hear it and resonate on some level with it, and it would shift it for them. I thought, but then I got to that growth period of, there needs to be more. They need to have that experience like I had, that, wow, what? And I'm seeing it and I'm feeling it and I know what it is. I want them to have that. Yeah. And so then I was asking Spirit, what can I do about that? And then here comes this person into my path that became a friend of mine. And she was like, yeah, I'm taking this hypnotherapy class. It starts in a couple months. And I'm like, oh my gosh, that's it. So I took that class with her. And that was back in 2007, 2008. So I've been doing this for almost 12 years with the hypnosis. I've been doing readings and clearing, energy work and all of that since I was probably about 19. So, so for a long while. And, it's just an amazing thing to evolve this. And I think Dolores Cannon's method is just huge in evolving it, because not only do you go into that past life, but then you go talk to your higher self about what did that past life have to offer you, and how can we heal these things?
Putting pieces into place. What are we carrying forward from it? Is there anybody in our current lifetime that was present then? And just getting some perspective on that, and then tying the pieces together. And then we get to ask our higher self anything, I find sometimes people will ask the strangest things. Have you ever had anybody ask something really strange during
I'm sure I have. When they come in with that scroll and it's like, oh.
I find that it's usually just 2 questions that are asked 100 different ways.
Right. Yeah. Right? And there is, and it is kind of one of those things where I do say, try to keep it around this, because you're right. They can find a way to ask everything they need to ask in probably 10 to 15 questions, you know, and get everything. But
I
so
have
a lot of times the answers show up in the past life. And I just had that
absolutely.
happen. I
Yes.
just had that happen with my
Yeah.
last client. She had this whole, I want to know about my family, my soul group, my this, my that, and everything got answered in her past life. And then we got to the questions, and the higher self's going, we already answered that in the past. We already answered that. It's like, yes, you did.
You did.
So, yeah.
I think I have to say the strangest thing I ever had anybody ask was why he had to mix several things. For example, it was if he's making pancakes, he couldn't just use one type of flour. He had to mix several types of flour. If he's making coffee, he couldn't just use one scoop of one or a scoop of one type of coffee. He had to mix many things. And I have to say that
okay, so what is the answer?
He didn't get an answer, which is strange. It's just like, you'd like to keep it interesting, and that was about it.
You know, as you were saying it, what was coming in for me is that he had aspects of several different lifetimes in this one lifetime, and they all liked something different, and so he mixes it.
Oh, how funny. Well, the aspect that I had coming into it is that he had been something of an alchemist in another lifetime. And
oh my gosh, I could totally see that being
mixing things in, but it was interesting. Yeah.
Wow.
I find all kinds of different people come in for QHHT sessions. Do you find that you have certain types of clients wanting certain types?
Let me tell you, you'll have the people that you would least expect to show up at your door.
Absolutely.
Least expect. And it's kind of like, okay, well, let's go see what happens here. I had a client that showed up that I'll try and keep it as neutral as possible, was of a religion that didn't believe in past lives.
Right. Comes
in, sits down, and the more I'm talking to her, I'm like, do you know what kind of session you came in for? And she goes, not really. I just picked one off of your website. I was like, but all the information is right there. She didn't read it. She just picked it. And I was like, okay, well, this is what we're going to be doing today. Are you comfortable with that? She's like, I guess we could see what's going to happen. And she had the most amazing session. So I was so glad that she was open-minded about it. Wonderful. But to come in with the strict boundaries on that kind of stuff, and then be able to go in and still have an experience. And her subconscious brought it to her in a way that she could receive it. Oh, so it showed her, if I could interpret, what I was interpreting was that it was showing her a past life through a current life metaphor. Mm-hmm. And so it took her into a current life thing that was something that never happened for her, and played it out like a movie in a current situation. Mm-hmm. But as I was listening to it, I was like, okay, this is kind of like back in the 1800s, there was little clues in there, like how she was dressed and different things like that. But then she would have all this modern stuff going on. And I was like, that's really weird, because it sounds to me like she's in the Wild West or something, and then all of a sudden she's in a city. And then she's kind of doing this thing that would still be Wild West, but yet she's in the city. And she's with her current friend, and she's got this going on. And so I was like, oh, I see what you're doing. Okay. And they brought it to her in a way they brought it to her in a way that she could receive it. And she got a really beautiful insight with it. And, that was really helpful for her. And the fact that she stayed open to it was powerful for her. And again, I can't say this enough. Come with an open mind and let go of your expectations. Let it be what it's going to be. Exactly. And, that really watching the videos that are all over YouTube is wonderful, but I'm going to tell you, everybody's posting their success stories and their best and brightest. Wow. Mm-hmm. Yeah, their wow sessions. So let go of that expectation, come in and let it be what it's going to be, because it's going to be your wow in whatever way it comes in. And it does not have to look like that thing you saw on YouTube. So
yeah, I totally agree. Now, you're in the Pacific Northwest. I would hope people are more open-minded out there and kind of
I'm in the Keep Portland Weird state. So there's a
Perfect.
lot of open minds out here. Yeah.
See,
It's wonderful.
I am in the buckle of the belt, Bible Belt here in Kansas City, Missouri. Actually, Kansas City, Missouri is pretty liberal, pretty open-minded, but we're surrounded by Bible Belt. And
Yeah.
get some people come in and they are in my office and they're just crying because they say, this is the first time I've ever been able to say any of this to anybody. And it's just overwhelming for them. Right? Because they're not able to talk
Yeah.
about any of the things that's expanding their mind. And here comes Annie again. Hello, Kat. And they really just appreciate having the opportunity to talk to somebody about past lives, about spiritual
Yeah.
growth, about what else is possible, about being multipotential, multidimensional.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. This is fascinating work.
So what about your out of this world type sessions? Have you had those where they go to other off-planet lifetimes?
Oh,
Yeah.
many off-planet lifetimes.
Yeah.
Oh, many. And what's interesting is that you'll get, you know this too, Tracie, that you'll have clients who have no idea of each other, don't know each other, and they come up with the same
thing,
same scenarios, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we go to a planet where the colors are just, we don't even have colors like that here. We go to a planet where all you have to do is think it and you get in. We go to a planet where there's all these different types of beings and they describe the beings in the same ways. We go to the place where you choose your next lifetime and they describe it in the same way. So and that really lets you know that there's something to this.
Yeah.
And Dolores found this too, which is how she was able to group together her sessions to make books, because she found that people were, there were several people who walked with Jesus, and I've found that too. Have you had anybody?
I have too.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Wonderful.
Mm-hmm.
Huge Jesus fan, not a Christian.
Love Jesus.
Love Jesus. And so it's fascinating when people go to a lifetime where they get to see him and talk to him and talk about how amazing he is. And it's wonderful. But the off-planet stuff is fascinating. Have you been taken on the ships in the sessions?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Isn't that cool?
Yeah. One of the gals, one of my first people that went on a ship, she went so far into her QHHT, and as we know, the veil is lifting on that. But when I first started, people would have a foggier memory of their QHHT session. And I do want to mention this because it is something, as we are evolving and that veil is thinning, we're being more present with those as we go into the regressions. The person going into the regression is going to be more present and more aware of what's coming through. But in the very beginning, I had this gal, and I had one of those little chase loungers. So it kind of had that higher back and then lounge. And I do know why Dolores wants us to have them lay down, because she got so relaxed. She started doing this and then she started doing, and I'm like, okay, I can't touch her. I don't think she's going to fall off of there. I think we're okay. But she was walking on the beach with one of her guides, and then all of a sudden a ship shows up and takes her, and she went on this whole journey with this ship, and they gave her all the information she needed to know about what she needed to do next, which was a big move for her and a big leap of faith. And it was, I mean, a big leap of faith. And then they brought her back, and then she comes back, and then she starts walking back across the beach, coming back into her reality with this guide. And it was like, it didn't skip a beat from the conversation they were having on the beach. Then the ship takes her, then they bring her back, and she starts right back up where that conversation left off, and they turn around, they start walking back, and then they bring her back in, and then take her into the high self. And when I took her out of her session, I started playing it back to her, because her voice changed so much when she was talking to the ETs, or they were actually channeling through her and giving her these messages. And I'm playing it back to her, and she's like, "What are you playing me?" And I said, don't you remember this?" And she goes, "Well, what is it?" And I said, "It's you." And she goes, "That's not me." I said, "This is you." I'm playing it to her, and she's like, "What?" But she had the most phenomenal experience. So she went home and listened to it because,
Right.
she was gone. She was checked out. She didn't remember any of that.
Right.
But I said, well, what do you remember? And she goes, well, I remember walking on the beach, and then we turned around and we came back. And I'm like,
Oh,
so you don't remember any of that other stuff
no.
that happened in between? She goes, no, not at all. And so I'm telling her little bits, and I was like, you don't remember any of that? And she's like, no. I said, well, all your answers are on this recording. You need to go listen to it.
Yeah.
And so she did, and she made all of those leaps of faith, and she took the big move, and it was challenging, and but she did it, and she got all these experiences from it. And maybe it didn't happen quite the way she imagined it would in her mind, but everything they said she would gain from it, in hindsight, it was all there. And so that, that's the beauty of being a few years down the road now. And now we can see the bigger picture of that session. And, she took that leap of faith. She literally moved from Oregon to California, went in, had all these experiences. California is not a cheap place to live. So she was making her way, trying to find work so that she could live there and all this stuff. But she has growth on such leaps and bounds. She made connections there that she will always have now. And she just did some phenomenal things while she was there. And, it's because she listened and
she trusted.
She followed her heart on that. Yeah. And she trusted. And that was one of my more intense ET ones, because it wasn't a past life. It was them coming to get her and took her on a journey and then brought her back. And
anything you can imagine and things you can't even imagine. I mean, it really happens. And you just have to have such an open mind and just go with it.
Yeah.
Right. Don't try to edit it. Don't try to figure it out. Don't try to say, oh, this doesn't make sense, so I'm going to try to make sense of it. Just go with it.
Yep. Biggest advice, just play in your imagination like you're a little kid, and let that imagination take off with you, and we'll work out the details of that afterwards.
We'll figure it out. Right.
Yeah.
Well, I like to tell people that it may feel like imagination because it happens in the same part of the brain that the imagination happens. And that's how it plays out. Yeah. Well, great. Tracie, I know that you've got a session to get off to.
I do. Yeah.
It was nice to see you. It's been, since the beginning of October.
Right.
Right. It's been a while.
Well, yes. And going into the holidays. So have wonderful holiday season.
Thank you.
And to everyone that's going to be watching the podcast before Christmas, Merry Christmas and Happy Hanukkah and all those other fun things that happen in the holiday season.
Happy everything. Yeah. And Tracie, thank you so much for talking with me today about radiating love.
Yes. And thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
Let's just radiate it together. Yay. We're in love together.
We're in love together. All right. Tracie Mahan, thank you so much.
Radiate Wellness is a community of holistic and alternative healers and consultants based in the Kansas City area, dedicated to helping you create spiritual, energetic, and physical well-being. To learn more about our practitioners, services, classes, and events, or to schedule an appointment, visit us at radiatewellnesscommunity.com.